Okay, we are live. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of State of the Gaming Industry. This is episode 9, and we do have a lot of topics to get into. So, if you're new here, do consider subscribing. If you are listening to the audio version of this, please consider leaving a 5 stars and a review. Leave a nice little comment. Definitely appreciate it. But we're gonna get started with the what I'm playing. So I realized I never really did do that. I used to do like videos of like recent pickups and what I'm playing and things like that. So I'm gonna start with what I am playing and recent pickups. So as far as what I'm playing, I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring. So I know the game's over 2 years old, but like everyone talking about the DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree, and not gonna lie, even though I'm an older person, Kai Cenat's stream kind of got me wanting to play it. Everybody's been talking about it, and with Black Myth Wukong coming out next year or next week, I did want to play something, get more into the flow of like a Souls like. It's been a while. The only other Souls like I've ever played was Lies of P, which I really like. So definitely want to give that a try. I'm like 30 hours in. Definitely really challenging, like everybody says, but it's just learning patterns of the enemies that you're fighting, going to certain areas, knowing which areas not to go to, being wise on your build and what attributes and things like that you upgrade and stuff like that. So pretty good. I'm not stuck in it because technically you can just go wherever, but I've been exploring and fighting random optional bosses and things like that, but I'm not sure exactly how to get to the next main boss. Like I've been trying to watch walkthroughs and things like that, but I'm not really getting it. And some that they're saying to fight, I'm literally not strong enough. Excuse me. So it's cool though. I definitely recommend if you haven't played it before, don't be afraid to like ask people that have played it before. Check Google things, YouTube things, because there's certain things that I wasn't aware of, like as far as like summoning sacred ashes and things like that. Like I didn't have the summoning bell from that you get in the beginning of the game, so I just went like 30 hours without having or being able to use anything because I didn't know you get in the beginning of the game and you could buy it later for like 100 runes. So that changed the game drastically for me when I was fighting certain harder bosses or certain uh great enemies and things like that. So stuff like that you definitely want to check. I know some people want to just go through it on their own, but I think the game is meant to kind of be using these guides and things like that. You don't have to, but I think it gives you a better feeling and get you a better feel for the game and things like that. Normally, so I'm playing it on Xbox. Normally, I'll have a console game and then as well as a like a game on Switch or something, which is a console, but you know what I'm saying, like a handheld game to play like in the bed and things like that. I don't currently really have one. What I did recently, y'all can't really see, it's a little blurred over here. Finger correctly. But I have what's it called? No More Heroes, all three of them over there, like the special editions. And I just got Persona 4 Golden from the what do you call it? Limited run game. So that I haven't opened them, but I did get the digital version recently. And I got the digital version of Chained Echoes as well, but that's on Steam, so I can't play that on Switch. But I do plan to tackle those next. I was doing Link to the Past. I'm not gonna lie, I did get a little bored with it. I don't know if it's because it's 2D or drop down or whatever, but like I don't know. Link's Awakening, the remake that they made on the Switch, I was cool with it, but I think maybe the 2D is just like I don't know. It's not vibing with me. It's not that it's bad. It's just I don't know. It's just not my thing. But that's pretty much what I'm playing. And then recent pickups, like I said, some of the digital versions of those games. No More Heroes 1 and 2, Persona 4 Golden, Black Myth Wukong. I did pre-order, so I'll be able to play that. I think it said Monday at 10 p.m. So I do plan to stream that game as well, so definitely look out for that. But now let's get into the weekly releases. So I was looking at, there's not a lot coming out or that has come out recently. So you can see here some of these games I haven't even heard of. So Shoulders of Giants that came out Monday, Arena Breakout, Dark and Deep, Guyota, Hidden Through the Time. Like a lot of these, no, I don't think most people have heard of these. Some of these are like random PC games. Hey, Madden 25 comes out, or it came out yesterday actually on PS4, PS5, PC. Who plays Madden on the PC? I feel like PC and sports gamers just don't mix, but okay. Stormgate, To the Stars, Green Hell, Love Goat. Like a lot of these, I think are like just smaller indie type games. Dredge, I think, was an indie game as well. So you see, it's on every system. So this is the Iron Rig. That is DLC. I'm assuming that comes out tomorrow. Kenna Bridge of Spirits. It was a PS4/PS5 exclusive for a little bit of time. That's coming out on Xbox finally tomorrow. So people that have been waiting to play that, you can. Warkana, I've heard about. Comes out on PC tomorrow as well. Castaway, House of Golf. Yeah, so pretty much it. Like August has been a little bit slow, but we got, Wukong next week and then Star Wars Outlaws at the end of the month. So people can look forward to that. But speaking of game releases, this wasn't a new game, but we did get Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, the Red Rescue Team, that came out back in, 2006, it says. So coming out for the NSO, if you have the expansion pack, where you have the, what's this one? GBA, yeah, so Game Boy Advance. For people that don't know, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, I believe this was the first one. Yeah, so it came out 2006. There was a Blue Rescue Team as well that came out on the DS. That game I did have. So for people that don't know, the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, what they pretty much are is you play as a Pokemon and you go around these different, it's literally a dungeon crawler like it sounds. You go around, it's not the typical like you get 4 attacks or catching Pokemon. You can recruit different Pokemon, you battle legendaries, and then they may choose to join your team or not. It was okay, I'm not gonna lie. It's not my favorite thing. It was cool. Some of the dungeons were really tough though, like some were like 99 floors, and then even after if you get through the whole thing and battle a legendary at the end, they could choose to not join you as well. So it's kind of like you went through the whole thing and didn't get much out of it. But I think they're worth trying. And they list here some of the other games. If you have the expansion pack, you got Pokemon Trading Card Game, Puzzle League, Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 as well. I know a lot of people are holding out thinking they're going to get some of the original games on here, but I just don't see that happening. You can't buy any other game a la carte on there, and I don't think the Pokemon Company wants to do that. So, but moving over to, speaking of classic games, we got Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster. So this came out, I forget when it originally came out. It was sometime either earlier this year or last year, but it sold out. A lot of people were disappointed that they couldn't get it, but they're doing a reprint now. And not saying you should expect this, but especially when it comes to popular JRPGs like Final Fantasy, the E series, a bunch of these other, even though E's is a lot smaller and things like that, these games are going to garner demand, right? Especially if you're talking about the originals. Like this is 1 through 6, before it went to 3D with 7, 8, 9, and up to where we are today with the PS1. But yeah, so people that couldn't get it before, I think they were selling for like 200, 300, something like that, the physical version back on the Switch when it first dropped. So people that didn't get it back then, you could get the reprint either on the PS4, which is backwards compatible on the PS5 if you have one, and the Switch, and that will come out October 8th. So I'm wondering if, yeah, and the other thing was the pre-orders before was only on Square Enix's website. So, and I think what's that what's that website? PlayAsia. I think it was on there as well. But now you could get it on Amazon, Best Buy, or GameStop. So there's no other editions to get. Then you got this bonus like sticker thing, sticker sheet. I don't get why they offer these stickers. Like who's buying these stickers, bro? I don't know. It's a cool little pre-order bonus, I guess, but nothing that would entice me to buy. Are these little acrylic stands super cheap or whatever? So if you missed out on the original, you can get the reprint. I haven't checked yet. I am curious. Let's see if we can see what if the value went down. Could go on eBay real quick. I am curious to see if the Pixel Remaster did drop. Yeah, see now it's, well, I don't know if it was always like this, but oh, but there was a collector's edition. I see. That's going for 500. Man. But see, one of these, that came out last year. They had 200. They had it up for 250. People's, there's people watching it, but I don't know if anyone bought it. And then you see now one of these, they're selling it for 87, which is, I don't know why people are buying. Maybe they don't know it's reprinted, but I ain't paying. Someone has it up here for 350. It's kind of crazy. I think there was a difference between, see this one that says E through T, because each game is ranked different, and then some don't have the rating at all. I think the E through T one, yeah, those I see are listed higher. I don't know. There's weird things people are willing to, spend that money on, but it is what it is. But let's move over to probably one of the bigger stories this week, and one that I'm really, really happy about. So a few months ago, we did get the sad news that Xbox was closing a bunch of Bethesda studios, but we did get the news this week that Krafton, or Krafton, however you pronounce it, they did acquire Tango Gameworks, and along with that, the Hi-Fi Rush IP from Xbox, which is good news because it closed in May, and a lot of people gave Xbox flack for this because they talked about, oh, we want these successes. Some people were saying that they weren't happy with Hi-Fi Rush's success, and then I don't know if it was Matt Booty or what's his name? Yeah, I think it was Matt Booty came out and said that, oh no, it reached all our metrics for success, 3 million players, all this kind of stuff. They released it on PS5, and still the studio closed. So it's good to see Krafton. They publish PUBG. They acquired Tango and Hi-Fi Rush from Xbox. It says as part of a strategic agreement. So I wonder what that means, because there's been kind of news coming in and out about why did Tango get closed out of all of them. It's our only Japanese studio. Some people are saying like I said ours is when Xbox is only or it was their only Japanese studio. They mentioned wanting to expand their footprint in Japan and things like that. So it was weird that it closed down. Some people said it had to do with language barriers and all this kind of stuff. But I mean, it was the only game to win major awards, especially at the Game Awards and things like that last year. So yeah, man, that was kind of sad. But it says the firm says it's working with Xbox to enable a smooth transition so that the Tango team can continue developing the Hi-Fi Rush IP and explore future projects. Tango Gameworks was one of the 4 Bethesda studios that I mentioned earlier that got shut down. It was originally formed by Resident Evil creator Shinji Mikami in 2010, and it gave us the Evil Within 2, Ghostwire Tokyo, and then Hi-Fi Rush that we got last year. But yeah, it said despite that, all that, it kind of sucks that it ended up closing. The addition of Tango Gameworks represents a strategic alignment with, let me read the start of the statement. This integration reinforces Krafton's dedication to expanding its global footprint and enhancing its portfolio with innovative and high quality content. Yeah, something Microsoft should have kept going with. The addition of Tango Gameworks represents a strategic alignment with Krafton's mission to push the boundaries of interactive entertainment. So Krafton's a South Korean publisher that's best known for publishing PUBG, Terra, and the Callisto Protocol. And now they have Tango Gameworks and Hi-Fi Rush. Now, it was rumored, or there were leaks and certain information coming out that Hi-Fi Rush 2 or a sequel or something, a spin-off, something else in that world was being worked on. And unfortunately, they were going to pitch it, or they did pitch it. And because of that, like, it sounds weird to say, like, you're being ambitious and you want to pitch a new game and that's what gets you closed down, but they didn't have the money, or I forget. Like, it's just a lot of rumors and words and things that we don't know for sure. But allegedly, the fact that any studio that was trying to work on something that they didn't see as, some type of priority, or was coming out soon, or was going to make them a bunch of money, like a Call of Duty or things like that, they just like kind of got shelved, because it's like, okay, that's what you're working on, but that's not going to help us right now. So again, just great news. I loved Hi-Fi Rush. I still need to play the DLC, but Hi-Fi Rush, one of those great games, and coming at the top of 2023 after a dark 2022 when it comes to Xbox and first party. And yeah, unfortunately, it didn't end up well, but I am happy to see that someone got it. Like, at the end of the day, I'm a gamer. I don't care who's putting it out. If it's a great game and I get to play it, I'm excited for it. I'm still sad about Sunset Overdrive, not, that whole universe just going by the wayside. But at least they're able to save this one, and I hope, we could keep doing this. Same thing with, like, Toys for Bob. They separated, and they're working with Microsoft to put a game out. So anything that keeps the game industry going, games that people love going, I'm all for. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of today. We got like 3 articles, a bunch of tweets, everything to go through. So we are talking about The Verge, and this was something that I saw RGT85. He did a video on this, and I had no idea this was happening because I wasn't on Twitter. It's always the times I don't go on Twitter where everything just starts happening, or X, whatever you want to call it. I call it Twitter. So background on the story is Valve was working on a not so secret game, their first game in, I think it's 5 years, called Deadlock. And now this is going to be like a hero shooter. It had almost 20,000 concurrent players on Steam, but still was quote unquote secret and you're not supposed to share or whatever. And The Verge wrote a whole article on the game, and then people were saying, oh, you broke NDA and you're spoiling and all this other stuff. And then the whole conversation turned into, this is bad journalism. Was it an actual NDA? Should you just honor your handshake agreements? A whole bunch of stuff just started coming out. So this is the original article. Again, if you don't care about the details of the game, this won't interest you that much. Like, I do want to talk about the game a little bit and then get into the whole controversy first. After, like, I don't want to just jump into that with no background. So this is called We Played Valve's Secret New Shooter, Deadlock. It's like Overwatch, Dota 2, and Team Fortress 2 all baked into a pie. This was written by Sean Hollister. So it's been 5 years since Valve announced a truly new game, and this game technically still hasn't been announced. And he put on here, I'm not under NDA. I have signed no contracts and made no verbal agreements. I haven't even clicked through a EULA. And then they screenshotted this message that comes up when you start the game. It says early development build. Deadlock is in early development with a lot of temporary art and experimental gameplay. Do not share anything about the game with anyone. So this is where the controversy starts. And it says here, earlier today I received a no strings attached invite to play Deadlock on Steam. Steam claims that the game is made by Valve. Blah, blah, blah. So This picture is what causes, or was starting to cause all this controversy. Now, I may or may not have played closed betas in the past, and they will say things way more than this, like very specific, like don't tell anyone you're playing a game, don't screenshot, don't take pictures, don't record, don't play the game when people in your house are around. Like they get very specific when they say like if you do, then blah blah blah, and you have to check it, you have to agree, you have to do all this kind of stuff. This is where I think you fall into that gray area where it's like it's not legally binding. It's just a message like, hey, don't share this don't share this with anyone. You're kind of like being trusted to not do it. And now this kind of just shows you a little bit about the game. It says what is it? It says we'll get back to the whole handshake agreement thing later. So it says a 6-on-6 shooter. It's like Overwatch. Your team's heroes try to dominate the map, slowly wearing down the opposing team, pushing them back. You're also leading an army of NPC grunts down 4 different lanes to destroy the opposing team's stationary defense, a little like Dota 2 or other MOBA games. They have video here, but I don't know if... yeah, I'm not going to... I mean, we could look at screenshots, I guess. I'm not trying to get copyrighted. It's like 25 minutes. I mean, it looks like your standard, 6-on-6 hero shooter type of game with, Valve graphics, right? So yeah, that's just describing the game. Blah, blah, blah. It shows you some of the different weapons, different, sorry, not weapons, different, what do you call them? Perks and things you can add onto your game. Slowing blows, melee charge, kinetic dash, things like that. Zip lining, which shows you can see in this GIF here, it kind of looks like, we just mentioned Sunset Overdrive, right? It kind of looks like that for traversal. And then it says there are already 20 different heroes to play with, so that's pretty promising. I mean, it's still an early development build, but it has 20 different players. You have archer, swordsman, sniper, shotgun, teleporter, everything like that. But now it says here that the way the game worked was you got an invite. So it says they haven't announced the game yet, but the current build lets anyone with a copy invite, everyone with a copy invite as many Steam friends as they'd like to give it a try. So that's how this person plays. Sean, he got an invite, and then his friends have an invite because he invited them too, and that's why people are saying that's how it got to 20,000 players in the first place. They didn't send out 20,000 invites. If you think about it, that makes sense. Also, for a game of like this, I don't say magnitude, but this type of game, like a hero shooter, you want as many people in it to play test it as possible. So just giving it to a bunch of influencers isn't really going to do that, especially when it comes to matchmaking and things like that. So now they then updated it, and it says, turns out Valve was not fine with me trying Deadlock with friends. I've been banned from matchmaking. Oh well, please feel free to make fun of me in the comments. And then it has this screenshot right here. A member of your party is permanently banned from playing in this mode. So the article went up, and then bunch of ads coming up. So I want to go to Tom Warren's Twitter. So he posted this tweet now has almost 3 million impressions. So he posted the tweet with the article just saying, hey, we played it, blah, blah, blah. Now, everyone replying, though, you can only see it if you are, or you can only reply if you're someone that Tom follows or replies to directly or whatever. So you can't really see anything. But then after all this controversy started, he tweeted out, hey, Valve opened up Deadlock so that people could play test and could invite friends earlier this month. Invites have spread far, and it moved from a peak of 2,500 players to 18,000. And you do see that spike. So there were around, so you can see in July, there was some people playing. around August 7th, it jumped up to 5,000, and then by August 13th, it was over 18,000 players. And then this is where the controversy came again with the whole NDA versus handshake, and he says this sign from Simpsons says "keep out" or "enter, I'm a sign, not a cop," kind of saying like, you know, it says me looking at it in form of NDA. It's like, okay, they're telling me not to, but it's also not giving me any repercussions for it. And here's some more tweets. This is kind of like an echo chamber thing though, right? Like he's only going to retweet and let people reply that he wants to. So it says, it's so disappointing that The Verge did not honor the legally binding "hey, be cool, man" screen at the beginning of Valve's unannounced game that has 20,000 concurrent players. So it's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek moment there. And then this pretty much goes, this article from Forbes is saying like, hey, they're under fire. Pretty much just going over what I just said. But it says the loophole is it's just an honor system. So it says they did not sign or agree to an NDA. They did not make any sort of verbal agreement. And you don't even have to click through the EULA. If you back out of it, it just goes away and you can play, which again, that's back to the gray area things. Like some things is people say the same thing. This is not a comparison at all, but people say the same thing about like the age of like consent, or like 18 years old is like a legal age or whatever. It's like, okay, just because a girl's 18, if you're 47, it's like, yeah, it's legal, but bro, we're gonna look at you some kind of way, right? Like it's, you know what I mean? But yeah, but then there was another article where they're defending them, and it says The Verge was right to report on deadlock. This is from The Gamer. It says nearly 20,000 people were playing it, like I said earlier. The problem arises when the secrecy surrounding the game. It's already an open secret that the game exists, despite Valve's lack of acknowledgement, and most people have a sense of how it plays thanks to the leaks, rumors, vague descriptions, blah, 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 blah. So the same thing about the leaks, right? So there's a thing in like the game community where like there are leakers, right? Like that's a part of the gaming community, whether you like them or not. There are things, especially nowadays, when it comes to the internet, inside reporters, sourcing, and then game development taking so long. Us on the outside, we want this stuff, like, right? Like we don't want spoilers and things like that. Like, I'll be honest, if I hear like, hey, there's rumors that this game's being worked on, or like this might be like a game showcase is a little different because the showcase is about to come out, right? In a month or two, when we start hearing these rumors, okay, leak when it might happen, what might be there, maybe. But I'm gonna watch the showcase regardless. I liked being surprised what's coming out. Now, when you're just straight up saying like a game like that no one knew and everything like that, it's like, I don't know, it's hard because, like I said, with game development taking so long, you will never know about these games, or they might announce it 5 years too early or something like that, or a game not coming out for 7 years. So now the leaks kind of keep the conversation going, right? It keeps you could call it the ecosystem going. Like they're a quote unquote necessary evil. You need the leakers to keep interest in the gaming industry, especially in 2024, right? If like it's a very out of sight, out of mind type of situation. If you don't hear about a game, if you don't do it, like it doesn't exist, and then you have a million other games or Netflix or streaming or other things that'll take your attention, and then it makes it hard to stay interested in some of this stuff. It's exciting to get some of these leaks. Now, reporting on all of them all the time, it does get kind of corny, especially when it's just every day someone's posting some random thing on a random forum, and then a random YouTuber's making a random video, and then random clips are going around, and random people are accepting it as law. That's when I don't really like it. So I get what they're saying here, but what they're mostly saying in this article is that, like, we want this. Like, people are and I agree. Like people are coming at them for, oh, you broke an NDA or when have we ever cared about something like that? Like why do we care that a game, or not game publisher, a video game journalist is talking about a game or breaking their NDAs or breaking embargoes and stuff like that? To be honest, when it comes to embargoes and let's say we're talking about reviews for a game, it's like, should I keep interest in this game? If I've been waiting for a game to come out and the review embargo doesn't lift up until the morning the game comes out and I want to play it day one, that kind of sucks. If I could get some hints around how a game's playing or how people, feel about it. You know how many people are asking for refunds on games or canceling pre-orders and stuff like that, or being disappointed once they get a game? Like, we don't care about no NDAs. I think people are just finding a reason to get mad at somebody. And again, there were no NDAs. So yeah, man, it's the crazy part is the writer, like we said, Sean, he can't even play the game anymore. And the worst part is, this kind of hurts relationships with publishers and developers. If you're a journalist or a YouTuber, and that's the real crux of this, right? Did they do something illegal? No, and nor would we care if they did. Did they do something slimy? I wouldn't say so necessarily, especially since they're saying other people are talking about it, other YouTubers, but they're not as big, so no one knows about it. Should they have done it? That's up to you to decide. Like, I don't know if someone's to say should or would or could, but I think as far as trying to protect your relationships and, their excuses and things like that online is kind of like, oh, well, technically they didn't say this, so I'm going to just go around it like, F you. And sure, they have the power to do that, but I think if you're trying to be smart and want to continue to receive access to these games and early looks and information, especially from Valve, like Valve is a large, even though they don't put out games that much all the time, but they have connections. They have some of the most highly touted games. They run the Steam store, like everything like that. Like, I don't think that's someone you want to just piss off and then come up with these, well, technically, and loopholes and all that just to make you look good to the public. Like, the public doesn't matter. I mean, they do, but the public's opinion when it comes to something like this isn't as important as your relationship with developers. Like, these are people that keep your business going, in a sense. Like, the people that are getting mad at you and hating you, they probably don't read your articles and all this kind of stuff or support you anyway, so I wouldn't care about them. So how I feel about it is, I don't know if I'm not in that position, but I would just err on the side of caution. If they say don't show something or don't talk about it, I'm not going to write an entire article about it. Now, if other people are doing it and, streamers are doing it or other people are posting it, then they got an argument. I would roll with that. But the whole trying to wink, wink, nudge, nudge, like type of stuff it's not it. So, but let's move over to another game announcement, an old game announcement from Limited Run. So these are like the cool announcements I really like. Not that I'm going to buy it, but I talked about it, I don't know if it was last episode or the episode before that, about some of these companies, specifically Limited Run, they print new cartridges for old systems. So it's cool when we get these games and, packages and things like that have, nods to Super Nintendo and nods to Game Boy Color. But when you're actually printing out new cartridges and actually working with the company, like you see id and Bethesda down here in the corner, like we already got the announcement at QuakeCon, Doom 1 and 2 got a new upgraded release, but we got an announcement for the SNES that Limited Run is doing Doom the original coming out next year, and you see it comes right here with a new comes with 14 new levels. You see it comes with literally a like bullet, what's it called? Gunmetal colored cart. This poster, super dope. And it's, I mean, I don't know how many people have an SNES, but I mean, super cool. I wonder how they. Oh, and it's limited to 666 unit, of course, because you're fighting devils. All 4 Doom episodes, Thy Flesh Consumed, added Circle Strafe, performance improvements, monsters respawning on nightmare difficulty, level codes, rumble support via a new controller. Like, this stuff's cool, man. Like, I really love to see this. It does kind of suck though that for someone that wanted to experience this specific game, like how many people are like, you can run out and get a Super Nintendo? Like, it's not hard to get one from like a retro shop. So I mean, I guess it keeps those type of companies in business, right? Because people want to play these originally, or just keep it packaged up. That's the other thing. So people might literally just never open these. These are for the collectors, but I like to see this stuff, man. Like, someone who grew up in these eras to watch new, what do you call it? New cartridges that play on Game Boy and things like that, and Super Nintendo even. I think someone else did an NES. Like, I love to see that. Whether it's I'm gonna buy it or not, I like to see this. I want it to keep going, and it's just cool to see. What was not cool to see, and I did not see it, but a lot of people that did said it was probably the worst thing in the world, was the Borderlands movie. Now, I remember seeing a preview for this, I think it was last year, maybe 2 years ago, but it debuted with a 0. So this was only with 10 reviews, but it debuted with a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes. And then I think it moved up to like a 4. And the first weekend it flopped. It got $8.8 million on a budget of 115 and $30 million with marketing and distribution costs. Nearly 60% of production costs were covered by international pre-sales. That is insane. So, yeah, that's not good. And it's funny oh, Variety's making me pay. Oh no, can I close it? Okay, guess I can't read that. But yeah, that sucks because I recently was just talking about how well video game adaptations have been doing. More specifically, I think the TV shows are doing a lot better than the movies, right? Like the Last of Us TV show, Fallout TV show. What else do we have? I think the Knuckles TV show did alright. I still haven't watched it. But you know what I'm saying? Like, all these video games, the Bioshock TV show is about to come out, and we'll talk about Bioshock in a minute, but the movies don't seem to be hitting like that. I don't know why. I think maybe it's because they have, I guess with movies, you have to have big stars because you're making people go out to watch something versus, you know, staying at home and streaming it or finding some other way. Like, it's hard to get people out. It's the same thing they say with musical artists and having a bunch of fans online and people retweeting you and Instagram likes and all that. But then when it's time to sell tickets, make people spend real money, drive, fly, pull up to an actual physical location, it's a lot harder. So when it comes to the movies, like, yeah, maybe some people buy it, but going out to see a movie, it's a lot more difficult than selling the, you know, a show that you could just stream, already got a subscription or whatever, and things like that. So yeah, Borderlands did not do too hot. But I mentioned Bioshock earlier, or like 5 minutes ago, because we were talking about the TV show, and we got some more information on Bioshock 4. There was that one screenshot that I showed in a previous episode, but we've seen some news on some hiring. So Bioshock 4, this is from Gaming Bible. So Bioshock 4 was first announced back in 2019. And then But recently we haven't seen any trailers, we haven't seen anything. We have the original team and like Kevin Levine, who, or is it Ken? Is it Ken or Kevin? I forget. But anyway, working on their Judas game, which I think is coming out next year. But Bioshock 4, we haven't really seen anything for it, but it says that 2K Cloud Chamber development on Bioshock 4 is ramping up with 30 new positions at the studio. And now, this is the cool thing about, like, when we talk about leaks and the internet and things like that, there's certain, like, weird ways people are finding out about games, like from developers' Pinterest accounts, Reddit, people's liking certain things. Now you're seeing like LinkedIn job descriptions or new hires popping up. So 30 new positions at the studio, definitely says they're ramping up. But it says it still hasn't received an official title, date, premise. We don't know anything about this game. And it says, so there was a tweet back in March where someone tweeted at 2K and said, is a new Bioshock game still in the works? And they replied with an emoji of a chef and a spoon, which we can assume means it is currently cooking / in the works. And then we had that one screenshot, which I could pull up here, that if you've seen it already or not, it was right here. You got the hub. It looks good, like graphically, but again, nothing else there. It says they're ramping up. They need people for art, animation, engineering, design, narrative, and production. And not saying this means it's not coming along at all, but that is a lot of things they're looking for. Now, again, granted that the things they're looking for could just be people to, polish up what they have already, clean some of that stuff up, help that move along and things like that. Doesn't mean they're starting all that from scratch. Like, they don't have a narrative. A narrative to me specifically is like, yeah, I don't know. Like, you would think you would have all that down, narrative, story, all that kind of mapped out before. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how game development works. So, but the this dude Spoonhauer, he worked on Bioshock 2 and Infinite, so hopefully the game will still be good. I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's, I really love Bioshock. It's one of my favorite franchises, definitely of the last, that was 2 generations ago now, technically. They came out on Xbox 360, so yeah, definitely hope things work out for them over there. Speaking of games with no imminent release date, unfortunately, and we kind of saw this coming, like a lot of these games, like we just know. So Replaced, which we know is going to come out on first day 1 in Game Pass. We first got announced our trailer back in, I think it was 2021 at the Xbox Game Showcase. It's like this cyberpunk action platformer game that kind of looks like, not pixelated, but it does look like that. Like, if you did a HD 2D version of like Streets of Rage or like a game like that, that's kind of the vibes I get from that game. But it's going to be playable at Gamescom, so that's the interesting thing about Gamescom. So this is going to be playable. Avowed is going to be playable, even though it got delayed to next year. So that's interesting. But it says publisher, CodeSync, and developer Sad Cat Studios have delayed science fiction retro futuristic action platformer Replace from its previously planned 2024 release window to 2025. It'll be available on Xbox Series X, or X and S, Xbox One, and PC via Steam and Epic Game Store, as well as Game Pass. So there's the message from Sad Cat Studios. Says, we'll keep it short. Replace will now be released in 2025. Our initial release date was optimistic, and we apologize for that. Developing Replace is quite a unique challenge, and we're proud to be creating something that's special. We need more time to ensure we meet high standards for ourselves, meet the expectations of our fans. Feel free to join our Discord, blah, blah, blah. It was featured at Summer Game Fest this summer, and now will finally be available at Gamescom for everybody to play. For those not attending, we prepared something special for later this week. So that's interesting. Maybe we'll get a demo. Yeah, we're definitely getting a demo. We're definitely getting a demo. If he said you can't come, we got something special for later this week. That means there's a demo. I don't think they'll just show a video of gameplay. Like the demo's definitely. Actually, I shouldn't say that because unless the game is going to come out in January, I don't think they're going to drop a demo in August. You know what I mean? Like that's too much time ahead. But I mean, who knows? I mean, we'll see. But either way, I mean, we've seen this. I know with COVID, we've seen a lot of games getting delayed, but now it's like, I don't know what's causing all these delays. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in there. They got to just announce games way before they actually come out and things like that. But replace, if you're looking forward to it, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer. Just a little bit. It's, and then another game we're going to have to wait a little bit longer for is a bunch of these Remedy games. So we did get a better look at some of these. I don't know why they use this as the control expansion pass picture. This picture is kind of crazy. Yeah, I don't know why she's looking like that. Anyway, so this is from Eurogamer, and this is going to give us a better insight on Remedy's, what I'm starting to call the Remedy verse, because all the games pretty much connecting at this point. But they did announce before Max Payne 1 and 2, the remake, they're entering full production. Control 2 is now in a playable form. Or sorry, certain features are in a playable form. And also Alan Wake 2 still not generating royalties after coming out over, I mean, in 2 months it'll be a year. So that kind of sucks. That does suck. So Max Payne 1 and 2, I just learned this today after checking right before I started streaming, but 1 and 2 is actually going to be released as one game. I don't know if they'll still call it 1 and 2, but it's basically going to be one game. They're not remastering, them separately or DLC or anything weird like that. It's going to be, they're working with Rockstar to do it because that's who originally published the game. So it says Remedy Entertainment has released its latest half-year financial report detailing progress on some of its most anticipated titles, with Max Payne 1 and 2 remake confirmed to have entered full production, and while important Control 2 features are now in playable form. So Remedy confirmed it was remaking, yes, we know, back in 2022 in collaboration with Rockstar. Working towards developing the game to an early functional state from beginning to end. And then they also have live service Control spin-off. So Condor is going to be their live service spin-off game. I'm going to keep it a buck. Considering they haven't made money back from Alan Wake 2 yet, and the fact that live service is where it is right now, I don't know how deep they are into that development, but we've seen other multiplayer and other live service games get canceled 3, 4, 5, 6 years in. I think they should cancel this thing. It says they already canceled codename Kestrel, but I think they need to. Oh, never mind. They ain't canceling it. It says it's already reached full production. They got multiple maps and different mission types in development. I don't know, man. I worry about that. Like, it could hit, and I hope it does, but we'll have to see. As far as Control 2 goes, a sequel to 2019's acclaimed weird office shooter, that's not at quite an advanced stage. So right now it's in production readiness, and the team is said to have reached a key milestone delivering a build of the game showcasing several important features in playable form. So they're working towards scaling up production of the project and with business negotiations ongoing. So yeah, I'm not sure why they actually. I get why they're doing this. They're kind of going in order of their games, right? So they had the Max Payne series, they had Alan Wake, they did Quantum Break, they did Control, then they did Alan Wake 2. Technically, they should do another Quantum Break game, but I don't think Quantum Break told a complete story for the most part, if I'm not mistaken. I finished it last year, I think. So Control 2, that world, there's interconnectivity there, right? So continuing it, you can. So, I mean, but again, not making money, right? Like it says, Alan Wake 2 still hasn't sold enough copies to begin generating royalties for Remedy despite launching to significant critical acclaim. But the studio notes it's now recouped most of its development and marketing expenses. It also highlights excellent press reviews and fan feedback for this year's Night Springs. So they did have an expansion back in June. And then it says the physical edition's coming in October. So it should be okay. I'll be honest. I mean, they've recouped most of their development costs, right? And then having an expansion that just came out in June. Then you got the physical coming out in October 1 year later. It's around Halloween time. They probably can work with Limited Run or one of these companies. And then it has a second DLC coming out, the Lake House, coming out along with it. So they should be all right. I wouldn't expect them to just make a whole ton of money off of it, but I think that should help. I'm also curious if DLC goes into these development costs that everybody talks about, because technically you developed the game and all that stuff ahead of time. So be curious to know that. But good luck to Remedy and everything like that. I hope they figure it out. But that is the last topic of tonight. I did start a little late. Normally we start at 9 o'clock, but I hadn't worked on my thumbnail. I didn't have all my topics together. I had most of them, but I need to, read some of it ahead of time just so I had a better idea to talk about and everything like that. But that is the end of this episode. We will have episode 10 next week. Already got 10 episodes. Again, whether you're watching it every Wednesday live here, you can watch the playback the next day on my YouTube channel. You can listen to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to your podcast. So appreciate you guys for stopping by. Let me know in the comment section below what was your favorite topic. Let me know if I said something crazy. Always keep me honest on here. But